Hey y'all, it's Val with Our Forever Farm, back again with a Pantry Challenge update. This is week 5, and I have to say I'm very proud of myself. So we're starting this week out with a copycat egg McMuffin from McDonald's. It's not from McDonald's, it's from Val's Kitchen, but this is just a copycat. And these are the same ingredients that were in the Eggs Benedict, if you remember. So I had these left over. So I fried a couple of eggs, and I put the Canadian bacon in the fry pan with the eggs and fried them up, basically just warmed them through. And then I added some cheese to the eggs. I just crumbled the cheese on top. I already had it shredded and ready. And then I placed the Canadian bacon on top of that where it would melt the cheese. I had toasted the English muffins and I just put them together. And hey, we went to McDonald's without leaving the kitchen. It was very good. So if you remember, earlier in the year, we butchered a cow. So I went out to the freezer and I found some ribeyes, hoping they're going to be better than the New York strips. And I actually went out and cooked these on the grill. And then I made a baked potato and just a simple salad. It was a delicious meal. And you know, you'll probably always see homemade bread in my Pantry Challenge update because I make it every week. On this day, I had some cinnamon bread that I had made in the freezer. And so I thawed it out last night and warmed it up this morning and made a delicious icing to go on top of it. And it was so good. I'll be honest, I did not even remember that cinnamon bread was in the freezer. So that's why the Pantry Challenge is so good for me, because I'm finding things I don't even remember that I had. And this was a delicious, quick, simple breakfast. This was probably my favorite meal. We love a good veggie meal, and Vicki's cornbread. Vicki's cornbread recipe, I'll link it in the description box. And so I put some pintos in the crock pot. Remember, I'm out of my canned pintos. And I cooked them all day. I added some collard greens that were in my freezer from my garden, and I made some mashed potatoes. I put the green tomato pickles on top of the pintos and poured a little juice in there. I've got a video on that too. I'll link it too. And this was absolutely probably the best meal we've had this week. And if you haven't saw the video on the smashburgers, you need to watch that. My daughters came over and we whipped up some delicious hamburgers. It was great and it was so much fun. Watch the video. You'll see. They're a blast. I'll link it in the description box. On this day, we made Reuben sandwiches with homemade chips and homemade pimento cheese. The videos are coming up soon.
Can y'all hear it? So crunchy. Well, I feel like this needs to be part of a Pantry Challenge. So Sweet Hunter doesn't like for me to do big major like bone broth or anything like that in the house, even though I do sometimes. But it's going to be 70 degrees, I think a little higher today. And so I've set up like a makeshift kitchen and I'm doing my bone broth out of my freezer. So I've got it all in an ice chest and I left it open where it thawed out overnight. So I'm going to lay it all on this table I've got set up over here, open it up, put it in the containers, and start my bone broth. Now you won't see the end of the bone broth where I can it until next week. So I also am throwing in some steak that we don't like out of our beef, and that'll give us some meat. It'll cook slow and it'll be really tender, and we'll use it for tacos or fajitas or even barbecue. It'll be good doing it this way. And it'll also give the bone broth flavor. I hope y'all can hear me over the guineas and the chickens. Some of the guineas are out here. So it's pretty loud out here. Start my roaster out at like 350, pretty high, get it going, and then I'll turn it down low and we'll simmer it for about 24, 36 hours.
So this is just an example of how you can be intentional by eating out of your freezers and your pantry and still work on filling your shelves back up.
So what I did yesterday is I went to the freezer and I grabbed out everything that I could see that I thought needed to make some kind of broth. This is ham, and I'm putting it in a separate crock pot where it can make a broth, like a pea soup. That would be really good. And I've got meat off the bone that I can pull off the bone once it's cooked for a long time. This is also, so this right here is from a deer roast that we cooked, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the beef. Another deer bone that I'm just putting in here, and I'm hoping the lid is gonna cover this. But most of this is bones. Put some water over this. Let's see if this will go over it. I think it will. Yes. So this is going to be really neat. I'm going to have to weight this down somehow because you just never know what animal might try to get in this. They'll be burnt real quick if they do. But because this is going to sit out here overnight. So I'm going to add some more water to this. I'm going to add some water to this. This has latches on it, so this will be fine. These are things, this is like some chicken bones, some potatoes, carrots, things like that. And I'm going to feed that to the chickens.
I would have used those chicken bones in making some more broth, but I just didn't have enough to make a canner full, and my chickens love chicken bones. So I was telling my chickens that I will gladly trade chicken bones and leftover scraps for eggs.
It's already smelling good, even though it's just started, and it's mostly bones. This is some steaks that sorry about the unis. I cooked this week, and I'm telling you, some of our steak, the only good steaks out of our meat was the fillets, that's all. The fillets were delicious, so I'm trying to clean out my pantry because of the pantry challenge, and you can see it's whole steaks. But what I'm going to do is cook it in the broth, where the broth will have a flavor, and I'll get the meat at the end, and we'll make barbecue, we'll make tacos, we'll make fajitas, we'll make quesadillas, we'll make something out of the meat. What I'll do is chop it up, get some more water, because we need a lot more water to cover this up with. I'm actually thinking about making my little outdoor kitchen right here. Sweet Hunter doesn't think everything will fit, but I'm really thinking this might be good. It's right outside of the kitchen. I can go in and out. I'm really thinking that this might work out good. Bone broth is really good to drink, and bone broth is really good to make soups out of, beef stew. It's just really good to have. This is actually from the bone of the cows that we killed, and I asked for the bones on it because I wanted the bones. I've never did that before, and so I'm not adding any vegetables. This is going to be pure beef broth. It does have a little deer in it, deer bones, and not much, and some meat that I'll take off when it gets done. I've got it on 350. I'm probably going to turn it up to about 400 to warm that water up and get that going. And then after about an hour, I'm going to turn this down on probably maybe 150, 180. And I'll leave this on for 24 to 36 hours. And I did cold water. You do cold to cold, like cold meat to cold water. cold bones to cold water, because these have all been in the freezer until last night.
So just a side note, if you roast your bones before you start and you're starting out with warm or hot bones and meat, you want to use warm or hot water. Just remember, cold to cold and hot to
I found
hot.
some green beans in my freezer. This is some I didn't can that I'm going to cook today.
So to cook my green beans, I'm starting out with just some cut up bacon. I'm going to fry it up before I put the beans and the water in.
I'll show y'all this. So my friend gave me this. You put it on the side of a hot pot, and you can put your ladle in there. Where I lay my ladle on the side, I thought I need to get that. So after I stir my bacon, I don't know where she got it. It's the coolest little thing. Then I can take my ladle and put it right there, and it will hold it right there. Is that not the coolest thing? Look at that. Wow.
Sweet Hunter asked for deer tenderloin this morning, so I fixed it 3 ways. This I fried without any batter at all, just salt and pepper. It was delicious. So this is the second way I fried it up. I soaked it in buttermilk, rolled it in flour, salt and peppered it, and this one is our favorite. This is the winner today. As you can see, this tenderloin went a long way. It was a good-sized tenderloin. So I fried it 2 different ways, and now what I'm doing is wrapping it in bacon, and I'm securing it with a toothpick, and I'm getting it ready to bake tomorrow. This will be one of our appetizers that I'm serving tomorrow. That's what we're having for our meal. I also cooked a whole chicken to go with the green beans, and I seasoned it with my seasoned salt. I've got a video on that. I'll link it in the description box. I served this with my homemade bread.
This is my new KitchenAid mixer that Sweet Hunter and the girls went in it together and got me for my birthday. I love it. I've never used it, so we're fixing to use it now. This recipe actually doesn't call for a mixer, but because I want to use it, I'm going to do it. So we're going to make a chocolate cake. It's called Jane's Chocolate Cake.
I absolutely love this mixer, but I have not used this mixer. And it's been about 2 weeks, and Sweet Hunter's wondering why I'm not using it. But I honestly just haven't made anything that uses this kind of mixer. And so I thought I am going to make a cake today, and although this recipe doesn't call for a mixer, I'm using a mixer, and I loved using it. The bowl looks like a wooden bowl, but it's absolutely light as a feather. It's really, really a nice mixer. I love it. I never in my life dreamed I would have a mixer like this. And talking about the cake, so this cake is a very easy cake to mix, and it's a cake that you can fix the icing and pour it on while it's warm. It's actually better if you do that. And this cake is served warm or cold. It's absolutely delicious. Look at this icing. It melts in your mouth. My grandson was here, my 16-year-old grandson, and he loved it. If you are a friend and have ever been to my house, I can bet money you've probably eaten this cake. This is just one of those go-to recipes. It's so good.
So y'all, this is the end of the Pantry Challenge update today, this week. So we spent $40 more, but we've ate good, as you can see, and I just spent the extra money on some milk and Coke and the stuff for the Reuben sandwiches. That video will be coming up soon. We're going to end this video with this beautiful, delicious chocolate cake. Y'all go cook something.